Okay, so onto the Gbpaud. Looking at the 4-hourly chart at the moment, news is relatively clear for the day. So where to start? So let's have a look at the daily time frame. Let's start with a weekly actually. So weekly, we rebounded off this level over here. That should be lined up to 8.4 at the psychological level in which the market last week spiked into once. The previous week we spiked into, but we broke above that region. It's using it more or less as a relatively decent handle at the moment. So we spiked into it last week, and we also spiked into the moving average. The price has been above the moving average on the weekly for quite some time, as you can see. Coming into the day, last Friday, because it's Monday, today at the moment we're just entered the US session. Last week we spiked into 8,400 and we whipped straight back to the upside. If you can notice clearly as well, we broke above the moving average and the body of the candlestick, the closure, sustained the highs above that. Right now we have a little bit of confusion because of obviously the market open coming into the early hours of Monday morning. A little bit of confusion, spike to the downside. We nearly tapped 8,550. If we look at the 4-hourly though, what we can actually see here is if our bias is bullish on the weekly and the daily due to the support at 8,400, the bullish engulfing candle on the day, and also the weekly being above the moving averages, what we can actually expect now is a flick to the upside. We've had this is our third candlestick closure. This is our third wick, and now we're waiting for this candlestick closure to come through. We nearly reached 8,550 psychological level to pick up those orders. We just came 2.9 pips shy of that. But what I'm now looking for, if you look over here on the Astro flip chart, we are looking as if the new leg can now form and be attracted into 8,550. As you can see, bringing both sides of the fence together, we are looking for a move into that region. So over here on the nice clean Astro chart, we can see that wicks being spiked. The spikes of the wicks. Okay, and now we're just waiting for 2 hours. So in 2 hours time, we can see what happens here on this candle. Hopefully we can roll right around and shoot up into 8,850. So we have around 200 to 250 pips when it comes down to the scope of our target projection. Going into the hourly as well now, guys. What we can do here is what's being formed. Let me take all of this off. Is we go into our tools, rectangle, and what we can actually go ahead and do is we can box off this region. There we go. Hourly, so gone from the highs down into the lows. Consolidation, price is building up, but what we can now expect is if we look at the hourly and how we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 spikes to the lows, it's telling me that market can't really sustain the bears. The bearish momentum on the intraday chart right here, it's not being sustained. So what I'm looking for is a breakout to the upside and a drive into 8,850. Quite simplistic, quite straightforward. And that's all I can really say about this pair at the moment. So I have to give it a few more sessions, a few more trading sessions for this to come to light as to which direction it's going to move. But my bet is that we are going to move to the upside. If not, again, I'll recap this video in a few days' time. But let's see if the market can come into the top region. If it does come into the top region, I'll take a step back. Because the market is bullish on the weekly and the day, maybe it can break that. Maybe it'll retest and give us further price action that leads us to an upside and takes us into a completely new domain on GA. Or it could break to the lows and retest 8,400. Who knows? Let's see. But that's my analysis on GA. I look forward to bringing the next video to you. Hey guys, so I'm checking in for the midweek wrap up to combine. So firstly we have the Gbpaud. GA, let's have a look at the daily first. So daily GA, we've most recently rebounded off 8,400, the psychological level. If you can also see that from our last video, price action has been relatively stubborn when you look at it from the daily perspective. The price keeps driving into 8,400, so we had one, okay, gapped up, bang, liquidity came in, took us all the way to 8,850, responded, reacted from that zone, came back to drive into 8,400, and then last Friday, bulls came in, intraday. We had a small gap up
on the Sunday evening, Monday open, and then we've driven back into 8.5, where the crosshairs, as you can see, is quite an important story we're painting here, because let's take that away. If you look at 8,500 as that, that psychological level, yesterday we penetrated it, but the body of the candle could not sustain and close below. Orders were picked up, and then today, a nice upthrust on the GA. Now, I'm actually looking at the higher term perspective, the bigger picture here. If I go ahead and stick the moving average on as well, moving average. If you can look at the weekly firstly, the weekly MA, the price has been above that for quite some time. As you can see, bodies are closing above, candles are coming back to retesting 8,400 over here, which is also more or less in alignment with the moving average. And this week alone, we spiked into the MA, 1.8500, and now it's going to be interesting to see where the GBP AUD goes from here. If you get the daily close to close above the moving average right there, we can actually say that momentum is now shifting back to the upside after collecting 1 here and 2 there, 8.4, 8.5. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, 4 hourly, after coming into that region, if I go ahead, and put the horizontal ray back on at 8.5, look at how the market has responded to 8.5. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect wicks through that zone. The wicks extremely perfect to pick the price up, and now we've rebounded to the upside, broke back above the moving average, and we've made a new intraday high from Sunday, only by 4 or 5 pips. Yeah, about 5 to 10 pips. We made that high. The market is now due for a small correction perhaps, and then we're going to rebound from this zone up to the levels of here, 1.8800, 1.8850. Excuse the labels on the left hand side, by the way, they've slipped off for some reason. I think, is it this setting? I'm not too sure, but anyway, I'm now looking for the pullback on GA. Maybe we're more or less rebounding off the 50 level, the psychological level, but if we can come back in, pick some more orders up, I'm looking for one more leg to the upside, 1.8800, 1.8860. If you can sustain that on the daily, which I do believe will happen, we can go from, if we take this, we measure from here down to the base, duplicate that, add it onto the upside. Let's see if this aligns with any other major zone. So we've got 9,300 perhaps. That could be a potential. So we're looking at around 650, 700 pip move perhaps. If not, we can rebound off here. We might just make a new high and then start to pull back. We'll cross that bridge when we do come to it though. And going into the intraday on the hourly, nothing special there. Pull back and then continue to the upside. Okay, so that's GA. Alright guys, so onto the GA. Some mad price action actually since the Wednesday, but let me go through this from top to bottom. So we are back, and it looks like we're potentially breaking 1.8400. What was interesting last week is that the flow came into 8.5, rebounded back to the upside. The daily over here, we actually spiked into 8.7. We barely came near to 8.750, but 8.7 has proved to be a decent handle for days upon days, especially on the intraday time frames like the 4 hourly. So what we've seen was the spike to the high. Market was whipped back down steadily. If I put my crosshair here at 8.7, psychological level, you can see that 1, 2, and then we had the spike all the way through that zone. It couldn't sustain that, it couldn't break that. Afterwards, came down, rested on the MA, broke below the MA, and price was magnetized down into 8.4. What's also important here is that the previous markup at 8.5, as we broke that, look at how the market spiked all the way into 8.5 and then started to roll over. If we zoom all the way in, you can see that price remained below the MA 4 hourly, 4 hourly, 4 hourly, 4 hourly, 4 hourly. Consolidated, spiked into 8.5, but also if you look at the bodies, how it closed below, number 1, 8.450, put my crosshair right there, and number 2, we also closed back below the MA. Now we've made a new low on GA, a new weekly low for the week.
I don't really see too much happening now. We are approaching 4 p.m. on Friday over here in London. We could maybe pull back before actually going lower. Daily time frame though, what's important here if we just zoom in is we have wick to the high, wick to the high, wick to the high. Today alone we tried to spike all the way higher, but the high actually got caught and trapped back under by the MA, and also here where the supportive region was, which was now resistance 8.5. So for me, we are looking to potentially roll over and reverse on GA. The weekly closure is going to be pretty vital. Now, if we go into the weekly, just to give you guys an insight, weekly broke above 8.4, we tested 8.4, spiked into 8.4 and the MA last week. Now, with this price action here, I did think that GA has the opportunity to repeat number 1 and number 3. So we have bull, bear, bull, bear. I was expecting another bull run after the momentum came into the zone, but we didn't get that. Unless something absolutely drastic happens in the next few hours where GA lifts off. For now, if you look at the wick here, what we need to see is this weekly candle, if it closes anywhere where it is right now, or better still, even below the previous week, it will tell us that the momentum has now stepped in, the market's made its decision for the week ahead, and this was all just the decision-making period. From here onward, as you can see, current price is 1.8350. Monthly time frame, it is now, let's see the date. Yeah, a new month will open on Monday. So very, very tricky price action to read on the higher time frames. Weekly does paint a decent picture, nice clear picture, but GA for now, it can start to fall into the levels of 1.8. I believe this could be attracted into and towards. 4 hourly though, next week on the Monday when we do catch it with a new video on GA, I'm probably looking at a pullback, then a short. Pullback, then a short. Immediate price range could also be, I think it's 1.8 is a pretty solid area to keep our target at, back into 1.8. So that's 350 pips from the current price. So with that being said, guys, there's not much I can really go over in this, much more. Apart from, there we go. So taking it up to the highs, we have 1.8862. The region stretches down to 1.88, so 60 pip region. High into secondary high there, so 1, 2, and then 3 fake out. 8.7 tapped back below, short. Looking at further price to melt now, 350 pips to the downside. Let's see how this one plays out by the end of next Friday.